Welcome, Brandi, to Girl Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so today we want to talk about the importance of breast cancer awareness and talk about self-exam, which we take for granted. So many of us that think, you go and get your mammograms done once a month and that's it. But I want you to explain your journey and what has happened and the importance of us doing that self-exam.
Perfect. So self-examinations it actually saved my life. I have always been a rule follower, so when my doctor said you need to do a monthly self-examination, I was all over it. I actually set a timer on my cell phone to go off once a month as a reminder. And in 2014, at the end of September, I found a lump while I was in the shower doing an exam. And at first I was like, that's kind of odd. Kind of dismissed it. The next day I was like, ooh, it's still there. I should probably call someone. So, just thinking back on it, that is the moment that saved my life. By me not being afraid of doing the self-examination and not being afraid to act on it once I did find a lump. I constantly do research on breast cancer, even though I am in remission. And most recently, I found out that 1 in 8 women will be affected by breast cancer in their life in the United States. So, for Black women or even women of color, it's higher than that. So it is definitely something that we need to adhere to and something that we definitely need to do just as women, we have to take care of ourselves.
And you're right. You said you were in the shower. And so, ladies, listen up. It's important. Like she said, you would automatically doing those.
Absolutely.
And it's sad to say that some of us don't. We, like I said, we do the once a month check and we're okay. But it's important to, find out the proper way of doing our own self, which she said that saved her life.
Absolutely.
And so that's important, ladies, just to take that 30 seconds out and check each breast. If you find something, and that's what she said, you have to get over the fear of what if. And so she said the next day she went and talked to someone to say, okay, what is this? And so we have to find out, because it may not be anything.
Absolutely.
But for you had that hard journey that it was.
Right. And you don't, like you said, it may not be. You may just have, lumpy breasts. Like that is something that, some people are diagnosed with. But the more you do self-examinations, the more you will be comfortable with your body and you will be able to notice if something has changed.
So to take us on that journey, if you don't mind, now you went to the doctor. And so what happened next once the tests were done?
So the first thing that he did his self-examination when I walked in. And he's like, oh, it's probably nothing. He almost brushed it off, right? And I was like, okay. And so he's like, well, we're going to send you down to do a mammogram. And they sent me down. I did a mammogram. They're like, okay, so yeah, we're going to also we want you to do a biopsy. And they actually wanted me to stay. And I was like, I'll be back. I actually have some stuff to do. I've got some business conduct. I'll be back, I promise. And so I believe, are used to people not returning because they kept calling me. I'm like, I will be there on Monday to, to be able to get that done. And they did the biopsy. And I found that was on a Monday. And on that Wednesday, they called me. And they said, I was driving on 495. And she's like, are you driving? And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, I'll, call me back when you're finished. And so I knew then that it probably wasn't positive if you wanted me to pull over and stop driving. So I lied to her and told her I did when I didn't. And she, said, I'm sad to say that, it is cancerous. And I was like, okay, great. What do we do now? So I, kind of had already dealt with it in myself. When they did the biopsy, I just automatically thought the worst. So I was kind of mentally prepared for the conversation. And of course, if it would have been positive, negative, then I would have been elated. But I did, kind of prepare myself prior to receiving the phone call.
Okay. All right. So that's a step, ladies, like I said, she got the phone call, she's driving, but Brandi had mentally prepared herself for the worst. And so if it would have came out negative, she was already kind of, thinking that it may be the worst. So you get this phone call, mm-hmm. and you seem like you took it very well because, like I said, you kind of prepared yourself for that, the what if. So did you discuss it with your family? What started happening then that some of these ladies may not know how to deal with it? That once they do get that call or once they get that result that it is positive, kind of help them along with what support system or whatever that you had for you.
So the hardest person that I had to tell was my husband. His mother is a breast cancer survivor, actually 2 times. And so I was afraid for him for how it was going to impact him. So that was like the most difficult thing that I had to do, was to tell him that I received the phone call and that it did come back positive. But again, the conversation went smoothly. And so our next thing that I had to do, I had to meet with a team of doctors, because that's what happened. So I met with an oncologist, a plastic surgeon, a radiologist, and a surgeon. And prior to meeting with my team of doctors, they basically had a conference call and they discussed my case. And they basically came prepared with an action plan. So I sat in one room, which is also kind of scary. I just sat in an office room, and they just rotated in and out.
Oh, wow.
Maybe for about an hour and a half. They just rotated in and out. And, you sat there, in between doctors, and you're like, okay, is this really happening? And you're like, yeah. And it was kind of not jarring, but it was like, all right, this is kind of real, right? All right, they're still talking to me. All right, this is real. This is what they want to do. They want to actually like slice me and dice me and like all of this stuff. And so from there, we took copious notes. Even asked some of the doctors if we can videotape them and record them, so that way we wouldn't miss anything. And so that's something that I think is crucial, is making sure that even, when you go to these appointments, don't go by yourself, just in case you do have to check out. You do have someone there that's able to listen actively and take notes and, ask questions, because that's extremely important, because they've heard all the questions before and they have all the answers. And so just don't be afraid of saying, hey, I don't understand what you're saying. So, okay, what is this going to look like? Don't be afraid. And, they're there for you. They work for you. So, you have to, be your own advocate when it comes to, something as important as this.
So research was important as well, As you said, she had her husband there for support. So anyone in your family, if you're going through this, that support system is needed.
Yes.
It could be anyone. Now, may I ask you a question? Did you have breast cancer? You mentioned for your husband's side. Did you have any breast cancer survivors on your side of the family?
So, not biologically. So, I am the only person in my family to have breast cancer. No grandparents, my mother, none of that. And so, again, it was shocking to my doctors because I was diagnosed a little over a month after my 35th birthday. And so they were like, okay, so it must be in your family. And I'm like, well, no, it doesn't. We've got other stuff, but we don't have this. And so they ran all different types of genetic testing. They did other exams, and I don't have any of the contributing factors that they've been able to identify with breast cancer. It was just kind of like one of those things, and I honestly believe that I was chosen, to be able to talk about this to young women of color and the importance of breast cancer, and being here, a few years later and saying, I'm still fly. Like, it doesn't have to take you out. Like, you can still, I was bad with my bald head. Like, you don't have to be afraid of being bald and all the other stigmas that come with having breast cancer or just cancer in general. There's a way that you could actually, kind of mitigate some of the effects of it. And it doesn't have to be, like it is on TV. Like, I prayed a lot that I would not resemble, like the cancer patients on Lifetime, right? Because like that's what my experience with cancer was. It was like the people on TV, and I'm like, man, no, I'm not about that life. Like, I'm not that strong. And so, it doesn't have to be like that. You can actually still be, you can.
So you did your day to day. Once you get through, and so we fast forward a little bit. You went through the research, the team of doctors, and so now you have the plan.
Yeah.
So your plan, what did your plan consist of?
So my plan consisted of, I had right side mastectomy with reconstruction. So they removed my right breast. And when they did that, they removed all of the breast tissue completely. They inserted a tissue expander because I did choose reconstruction. And so with that is they place something inside of your chest to expand your skin so it doesn't retract. So when they input the implant, your skin will still be pliable enough for it to go inside. And which that was the most uncomfortable part of the whole experience when it came to, healing and all of that. The expander just isn't comfortable. But after that, once chemo was over, then I had an implant placed in. And I had a few challenges with that. I had to have an expander replaced and all of that, but that's not typical
of what may happen to someone else.
Absolutely.
So the thing is, ladies, is just to, one, we cannot express it enough, is to have those self exams or your mammograms yearly. That's important, because if she hadn't caught it, it seems like you caught yours pretty early in stages.
I caught it very early in stage, and we're at the age now where we may not have to go to see our doctor annually. We may be on an every 3-year plan if everything comes back normal. And so I wouldn't have actually seen my doctor until 2016, which means it probably would spread only God knows where, if I wouldn't have been doing these self-examinations. And due to my age, I wasn't up for a mammogram for another 5 years. So, a lot of times time would elapse, and it would have been a completely different outcome if I wouldn't have, did self-examinations. And they wanted to treat my cancer aggressively due to my age. So I did have chemo. I did not have radiation. But again, I accepted that treatment plan because I wanted to make sure that there was nothing lying dormant anywhere else in my body.
But there's so many other options. It just depends on when you find out, age, and then what the option and where it's located. And so did you have to change now that you went through the treatment, anything different in your life that you had to change? Did you have to change your diet? Did you have to exercise more? Anything that you had to, a lifestyle change after this?
I am more aware of what I eat. I try to eat, a lot of organic foods just in general, just because all of the chemicals is not, good for me. I try to stay away from, I don't eat a lot of chicken because, so for me, my tumors were estrogen and progesterone positive, and which means hormones are just bad for me in general. So chicken is a hormone producing animal, due to the eggs and like all of that. So I am just super cautious when it comes to that. But again, it depends on like your type of cancer and whether or not, you're HER2 positive. Like there are so many other indicators that will have an impact on how you, carry out your life. But I make sure I drink a lot of water. I exercise, at least like 4 to 5 times a week. Lots of green leafy vegetables, a lot of green smoothies, because like it's very good for you and like the oxygen, things like that.
And so did you join any support groups besides your family? Did you, go on Facebook and join anything that other people can know about that if they're going through something like this?
I did. I joined a couple of Facebook groups that I found extremely to be helpful. One was a Winter Chemo 2014 group. And this was a group of women that were going through the same thing that I was going through when I was going through. And so you have just, thousands of women who are there, for you to ask questions. We shared, what worked for me, what didn't work, how the side effects of these medications worked on you, because everyone's treatment plan is going to be different. The drugs that the doctors choose to give you will be different. And so it's best to reach out to find out, oh, you're on AC, like how did that affect you? What did you take? And I can honestly tell you that reaching out to those women and developing friendships with them really helps it not be as bad as I thought it would be. Like they definitely were there to kind of help me go through it because, you may not want to say, oh, hubby, I feel like this, or your best friend, I feel like this, because they don't understand, or, they really want to be supportive. But some days just suck, like some days really, really just suck. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have, a group of people that are there who actually know what you're going through. And for me, I needed a positive support system, not, like I didn't really want to cry about it. I just kind of wanted to get it done with, but I wanted to, not feel so bad. Like I wanted to still just be me, because I'm super happy. And I was like, this is not going to take me out. Like I'm a G, I'm a gangster. Like I'm not doing this. And so like they helped me do that. And, and it's for the women from that group that live in like the DMV area. We get together like maybe a couple times a year. We have dinner, and we just like, hey, it's just a gift that keeps on giving, right? And so like I found lifelong friends that, we all have different experiences and, different backgrounds, age, ethnicities, but this one thing brought us together. And, we were really there for each other.
Well, that's great.
So another part of my research that I did was about my reconstruction, the before and after. I was kind of concerned about what it would look like. So I remember one day I just kind of Googled mastectomy images, turned the computer on to my husband and was like, hey, look at this. However you want to react, go ahead and do it because this is what it's going to look like. I'm happy to say I don't look like the images that I found. I look so much better. My plastic surgeon was amazing. So make sure you do research on your plastic surgeon. You look for before and after pictures and you make sure you choose something that you will be happy with because you will have this for the rest of your life with a little adjustments as you age. But let me tell you, I look amazing in a swimsuit. Like, woo, my goodness. I mean, this is, you know, it is definitely a plus considering everything that I had to go through. But don't be afraid of what it could be or what you will look like because you will look amazing.
Because the journey doesn't stop, ladies, right?
No, absolutely not.
So it's not the end. It can be the beginning. You just have to readjust to what has happened to you, and you keep a great attitude, your support group, and just do those self-examinations can save your life, those 30 seconds.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much
for
joining us on the Girl Podcast. And this is Brandi, and I'll see you next time. Bye.